Yes, you read that title right. One player holds the fate of the Pheonix Suns and whether or not the team will succeed or fail miserably. That's a lot of pressure for one player. Over the past 5 years, the Pheonix Suns have been one of the worst teams in the NBA, whether it's from the awful play on the court, the number of coaches that have passed through the team, or the many mistakes in drafting players over time. They haven't had any real success in a long time. However, they started to see some progress this season. Not much, but a little. Make sure to subscribe down below. If you don't, then DeAndre Ayton will fail at helping the Suns and will ruin everything. Do you want that to happen? Didn't think so. Now, let's jump into the video on whether or not DeAndre will indeed help the Suns out in the near future. Let's start by talking about how the 2019-20 season went for the Pheonix Suns. Although games have resumed in Orlando and the season is basically over for the Suns, we can talk about what the team had done before the NBA season got canceled. They had a typical Suns start, bouncing around 11th and 12th in the West, and to no one's surprise, ended up being one of the worst 5 teams in the league, which was a shame because a lot of NBA fans finally thought this was going to be a bounce-back season for the Suns. Boy, were they wrong. A huge reason for the Suns' struggle was the suspension that the league handed DeAndre Ayton. You can't have one of your future All-Stars getting suspended, especially for such a stupid reason like abusing performance enhancement drugs. Come on, Ayton, you're better than that. The Suns need you. This suspension is something that has weighed heavily on him. This will definitely be something that Ayton can look back on and learn from in the near future. The long-awaited return for Ayton was a moment that the young star will always remember, finally being able to step back on the court after months of being away and showcasing his dominance to the league once again. It was a humbling experience, and somehow it gave me some humility. That's why I think I enjoyed my family and those who are there for me. I am ready to work now, ready to show them that I do not take their comfort and support for granted. It helped me. It helped me to get up every day and be consistent. Ayton is the only player in NBA history to have averaged 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks while being less than 22 years old. Do you know what other NBA star was able to achieve those numbers? Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal. The Suns basically have Shaq 2.0 on their team. In addition to this impressive statistic, he shows enormous defensive potential. The coaching staff emphasizes his ability to keep up with the guards while on the court, defend stars, and close in on his opponents while they attack the basket thanks to his good positioning. Indeed, he sometimes suffers from a lack of effort or aggressiveness, but we're talking about a young man who is still 21 and aware of what's going on the court, and who is, without a doubt, a top 5 center in this league. I just want to show that everyone was wrong after I came back from the suspension, he says. That's been my mentality. A very important part of his development is waiting to see what will happen with his attack and whether or not he will learn to use his strong body as an advantage. During his 1 year at the University of Arizona, his starting position was center next to another 7-footer named Dusan Ristic. Ayton, instead of attacking the basket and using his large frame, would attempt to shoot over his opponents at least a few times a game. However, Igor Kokoskov, a coach during his first season, wanted to limit the outside shots and enhance his skills around the basket. DeAndre, unlike a lot of centers in this league, had a strong mid-range shot, an amazing passing ability, always works hard on defense, and, of course, scoring whenever he has an advantage. But Ayton is no Shaq underneath the rim, nor does he even have, at least for the moment, the scoring instinct of other stars in the NBA, like Anthony Davis or Joel Embiid. The case of Pheonix is different. They're trying to compete with the league and shoot as many threes as they can, basically what every single team in the NBA is trying to achieve lately. Get a bunch of three-point shooters and fire away. The Suns coaching staff, with Monty Williams leading the way, has also instructed Ayton to fire away, especially the three-point shoot, instead of focusing on his strengths and developing Ayton to manhandle every big man in the league. They're telling him instead to shoot. Even Ayton himself said, "I'm shooting three-pointers like a madman," he told the media. Finally, Ayton stressed that he wants to turn around the treatment he receives from the press. Doncic, Young, and even Devin Booker himself have a better image among the average fan around the league. The Pheonix player seems to carry a certain aroma of disappointment, always striving for an amazing performance, but at the end of the day, his numbers are often disappointing. "I've been in the dark side of the media. I think I'm on my way to shut up completely so they'll support me. Not that I want them to support me, but I think that's the right thing to do," Ayton says. Of course, Ayton still has a lot to prove to be on the level of Doncic or Trey, although he has the tools to make his mark. Besides the suspension, he has had problems in both ankles during the season that cut his return to the court. After the quarantine, he says he is in perfect condition and looking forward to playing at Disney. DeAndre Ayton must take every opportunity to show that he is one of the best young players in the NBA. The suspension of Ayton was one of the biggest news stories in the NBA this year. The team was 12-18 with him in the lineup. Nothing special, but again, there was hope. Ayton's impact on the court weighs heavily on Phoenix's future. Overall, the Suns' offensive rating was 16th in the league, while defensively they were 20th. However, at the end of the day, relative to the expectations many people had for this team entering the season, this was somewhat of a disappointing year to say the least. So let's move on and see what their future looks like. The first factor is how Devin Booker will play in the NBA. His efficiency increased with Ricky Rubio. He was a legitimate shooting guard to take away some of the offensive responsibilities, which was a good sign because some of the percentages for him, specifically from the three-point range, last year were not good at all. So it was nice to see that with a good teammate by his side, he can do some of the things he's so good at. It helped him with some of the efficiency issues in the past. But we already know what kind of player Devin Booker is right now. He's a great scorer, not that good of a defender, and most likely won't be able to lead the Suns to becoming a 50-win team in the Western Conference by himself. But let's talk about who's in the spotlight right now. Remember what the Pheonix Suns management said when they took over in the 2018 draft? It was Igor Kokoshov, who left a reflection on how he sees his big acquisition, DeAndre Ayton. The Suns' coach wanted the center to become a defensive pillar for the team, and he believed that much of the work he did this preseason was focused on a winning mentality. "He's going to be our defensive coordinator," said Kokoshov, in statements collected by Sportando. That's the description of his job. "One thing I told him the other night is that we're going to have to sacrifice ourselves. The training camp is a big sacrifice, starting with 5 or 6 hours of work of sacrifice." Although he was aware that focusing more on defensive is not the most pleasant situation for a player who is about to land in the NBA, Kokoshov said, "When he starts to dominate, it will be rewarding for him, and it's a nice feeling in professions like journalists or basketball players. When you master something that involves sacrificing your time, I think he understands me. He's going to work hard at it." And today is about DeAndre that everything revolves around Phoenix, looking to the future. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he's pushing the whole franchise forward, and although unfortunately we didn't see him play many games this year because of the suspension, in the games he played, the numbers are impressive. And if he's going to continue to be a 20-10 guy in this league, it's a huge advantage on the offensive and defensive side. On the other hand, turnovers definitely have to come down, and he's becoming too confident in taking the mid-range shoot for a guy his size, but he's still growing in what is going to become offensively. At this point, it's pretty clear that he has all the tools to be a great offensive player: athleticism, coordination, ball handling, and about the same chance as any other young man in the league to become a great offensive dominant big man. DeAndre was better and didn't look as lost at times as he did last season. He has in his hands the capability of leading the Suns to becoming a playoff team with the potential to do more. But if he is not as forceful when he has to be in the paint, then the future doesn't look so great for the Pheonix Suns. We hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave us a like down below and smash the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. Check out some of these videos.